and that's what we're all about. Bringing all this innovation to the masses, to everyone, and to basically introduce New World whiskey. So we say, welcome to the New World of whiskey.
So basically, this is something that is never allowed, that can never happen in Scotch whiskey, basically, because seasoning a cask with some fruits and everything is not allowed in the rule. That's very rigid in the SWA. But here, you can do something crazy like this.
Yeah. Crazy in a good way, yeah.
In a good way, in a good way. Halo, welcome back. Ketemu lagi di channel Whiskey and Wine. Kali ini gue ngegantiin Alvin nih, karena hari ini kita interviewnya dalam bahasa Inggris. Kebetulan kita ada tamu yang spesial banget hari ini, yaitu Randall dari Lark Distillery. Jadi hari ini kita bakal bahas si Randall ini sebenarnya seorang brand ambassador yang udah terkenal banget. Dia karirnya udah 10 tahun lebih bersama satu brand yang dulu gue kenal dia di sebelumnya. Dan hari ini kita bakal ngomong kenapa dia pindah dan apa sih sebenarnya yang bikin dia pindah dan visinya apa sebenarnya untuk si Lark Whiskey ini. Okay, Randall, yes. Thank you very much. Firstly, so glad to see you. It's been a while since I last saw you.
Yes, it's been a while. I think the last time I was here was before COVID. I think.
Before COVID, yes. And that was a time when you were still with another brand, I suppose.
I was. A fairly big brand.
I think we can say what it is.
Yeah, I was with Macallan for 10 years, with the Edrington Group. And after 10 years, I thought it was time for a change.
Yeah. So it was quite funny for me as well, this journey, like when I first met you in 2017, I was a customer. I wasn't in the industry at all.
Yes.
So I went to a lot of your tastings, a lot of your dinners and everything, and I sort of like idolized you, like, how can I be as cool as Randall, like he's flying the world, like traveling around, hosting dinners and everything. And then now here we are, like side by side, interviewing you for our channel. And the jump from Macallan and you moved to this, I would say not many people know this category, but it's a very interesting and very exciting category for me. Right. It's Australian whiskey, right?
Yep. So where do I start? I think after 10 years in Macallan, representing the brand, talking about the brand, the whiskies, I felt like it was time for a change. When I decided to take a break first, I was approached by a lot of other brands and I decided on Lark, mainly because number one, it's a lesser known brand. It's from Australia, Tasmania, and we really wanted to bring our whiskies to the whole of Asia. And that was a very, tempting proposition that was presented to me, and I grabbed it because I really wanted to be able to introduce Lark to Asia and be able to tell their story, and it was gonna be really exciting and fun.
I mean, I've known you from your time before Macallan. Basically, you're a famous actor, a model. He's actually very famous in Singapore. So your expertise, your experience and everything with front-facing, consumer-facing role basically is huge. Because you have a wealth of experience doing this. And then, like you said, when you decided to leave Macallan, there were a lot of offers, which I can imagine. And the fact that you chose Lark, that says a lot. So
I hope so.
Yeah, that says a lot about the brand. It's like, wow, this is something to watch for, I think.
Yeah. My experience, like you mentioned, I did a lot of hosting. So and funnily enough, that was how I actually got into whiskey. Into this whole brand ambassador kind of role. Hosting, how it happened was they needed somebody to host one of the events. So they approached me, and obviously I was like, yeah, sure, Macallan, why not, right? Yeah. And they said, oh, come, we need to train you. But what they didn't know was back then, I was already a big fan of whiskey. I loved whiskey, and that interest for me, when I'm interested in something, I really dive deep on my own, right? So I already had some knowledge of whiskey, not as much as I do now, I think, yeah. But when I went for the training, they realized that, you know what?
You know your stuff. Yeah.
He knows some stuff, right? And from then, they decided to make use of my experience, my expertise, hosting and being front-facing for a longer term. And that long term became, from 1 year became 2 years, 2 years became 3, and then 4, and eventually we know how that happened, you know. And whiskey for me is all about that passion. I've been told when I speak about whiskey, when I introduce the brand, when I talk about the particular liquid that we are tasting, people think that I'm a fanatic almost, because I speak with a passion. That passion comes through. I combine both my love for whiskey, that passion for whiskey, and my ability to connect with the crowds and with my consumers and my guests. So that everything coming together really does bring out the best in me.
I think that kind of combination is indispensable. So, like your passion, your genuine passion for whiskey, and so basically, it's almost like, you know, when I met you during your time at McKellen back then, it was like, wow, this guy really loves his whiskey. It's quite. Let's just be frank, right? Because this is a non-branded channel and everything. I felt like, you know, there are quite a few brand ambassadors out there who are there just because it's a job. Like they're just doing their, like, okay, I'm just talking about the brands and everything. But there are few people who genuinely love whiskey, and you can tell, you know, you're one of them. You know, that was what makes me really like you as a brand ambassador, as a person and everything. So everything feels genuine coming from you. So it's this energy that I think is very important, and I think this energy is going to be amazing that you're bringing to this brand.
Yeah, you know, Lark it's filled with so much stories that I have to share with everybody. And when you look at it, people will think that it's a small distillery, they can't be doing very good whiskeys. But there's a lot of things about Lark that come together to create some amazing whiskeys. We only have 3 in Asia for now. There's only 3. We have the classic cask, we have the Tasmanian peated, we have the Chinotto cask, and that's just top layer, you know. And
So there'll be more.
There will be more.
expressions.
Hopefully, there are more. It's just when will we bring it in? If you look at the story of Lark and how through perseverance, through tenacity, our founder managed to overturn legislations to have whiskey allowed to be made in Australia. And you think about that and everything that he has gone through to actually start the distillery, and his know-how, his knowledge, combined together with what we can get in Tasmania, in Australia itself, from the ingredients to the weather to the water, everything coming together. That's a recipe for success, you know. And hopefully we bring that story to everyone out there in Asia, and hopefully around the world as well. We bring them the story of Lark.
Yeah, I mean, I had the privilege of meeting Bill Lark himself, the founder that you were just mentioning. And right off the bat, you could tell this is someone with a lot of passion. So the brand is almost an extension of his personality when I speak to him. Everything, the story of the brand and everything is his personal experiences that he translates into the bottle, which I think is amazing, and not many people can do that nowadays. Okay, one thing. I think we will get these questions a lot, especially from our viewers as well.
Okay.
In Indonesia, maybe, well, even in the world, not many people know about Australian whiskey, right? So, how would you describe how Australian whiskey is different? And you just mentioned like the weather and everything. That's all the advantages of having that geography in Australia. How would you recommend Lark or Australian whiskey for first timers?
Okay, I think the first thing we need to understand is that Lark is actually a New World whiskey. New World whiskey means that it is different from what we're familiar with in the Scotch whiskey industry and all that, where it's governed by a lot of laws. The laws are great. It's set up by the Scotch Whisky Association, making sure that everybody follows a certain standard so that when they create those whiskies, it's by the book.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's a very, very long history that they need to preserve.
And to keep and maintain. The thing with New World whiskies is it's not governed by all those laws.
Okay.
Yeah. And yes, some people say, oh, then where are you going to get the consistency and all that? I mean, yes, we do follow the usual processes to make whiskey. That's a definite. The thing is, we are not tied by rules that say we can't innovate and we can't create. And that's the thing. I have one word to describe this, and that will be freedom. All right. The freedom to actually express the whiskey maker's vision and creativity to innovate, to try something new. And that's where some of the more fun expressions come up, you know, and we have one in that core range.
You're already talking about this specific one. This is quite unique, I would say. When I first saw it, I was like, Chinotto citrus cask. Can you explain more about this?
Sure. So the story goes that our whiskey maker was given some Chinotto fruit, and this is a fruit that you can get from Italy, and they usually make a soda with it, right? So he was handed some of these fruit and he was thinking, what shall I do with this? And he decided to boil it down. We are told he's a little bit of a mad scientist. So
in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way. So he boiled it down into almost like a syrup, and then he used it to season the cask. So what he did after that was he took whiskies that had been aging and put it into these casks that had been seasoned with the Chinotto fruit. Finished the whiskey in that, and the flavors that come through with this particular expression is quite strong and very upfront. And if I don't tell you it's a whiskey, when you nose it for the first time, you might get confused. And I usually will tell them that it's a whiskey. And when they nose it, they will be going, hang on, did you just say this was a whiskey? So it's that different, and it's a fun whiskey. The minute you taste it, it brings out that vibrant kind of feeling.
It's exactly what you said. Like if you didn't tell me this is a whiskey and it's a blind tasting, you just hand me a glass, I wouldn't even think. I would be mind blown. It's like, what is this? This is like whiskey, but not really. How could it have these flavors?
Right. And that's the fun thing about this. You know, the whiskey shows its fun side. The whiskey shows its vibrancy. The flavors come through. It's a drink that you can enjoy in any way you want to. My favorite way to enjoy the Chinotto citrus cask is on the rocks, because what it does is cools it down, slowly waters it down, and but still retains all that flavors that you get.
And everything. It must be very refreshing.
It is. And obviously, if you're by the beach or by the pool, you can enjoy it in a highball. If you like it slightly sweeter with ginger ale, you know, the sky's the limit, and that's what we're all about. Bringing all this innovation to the masses, to everyone, and to basically introduce New World whiskey. So we say, welcome to the New World of whiskey.
So basically, this is something that is never allowed, that can never happen in Scotch whiskey, basically, because seasoning a cask with some fruits and everything is not allowed in the rule. That's very rigid in the SWA. But here, you can do something crazy like this.
Crazy in a good way.
In a good way. So, would you almost say like what they are doing is almost like the future of whiskey?
Well, I hope so. If this is just the beginning, then the future looks bright. You know, we are not as old as some of these Scotch whiskies out there. Some of the brands that you're more familiar with 200 years of history, 100 plus years. Lark is only 32 years old. They are basically babies in the industry. And if this, like I said, if this is the beginning, then stay tuned because the future looks really bright.
On another note, since you're mentioning New World whiskey, we go back a little bit. Japanese whiskey used to be called New World whiskey, but look where they are now. They
Exactly.
are at the forefront.
Actually, the term New World whiskey, just so you know, anything that's outside of Scotland is considered New World whiskey. So
Scotland, Ireland.
Japanese whiskey, Taiwanese whiskey, Indian whiskey, all those that are just outside, and now Australian whiskey, they're all New World whiskeys. And it's something that we want to highlight because I think not many people really actually know what's the difference. They hear it, they know about it, but they don't really understand what's the main difference. But now you know.
So basically this is we don't have a lot of time, unfortunately, so we will cut this short. Me and Alvin will basically do an in-depth exploration of Lark and a bit of the history in Indonesian, so it's easier for you guys to understand. So thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you
for sharing
for
your
having
story
me,
and everything.
and it's so good to be back in Jakarta.
Pleasure.
And I hope to be back soon again, and hopefully we'll meet your viewers.
Yep. Right. See you on the next episode, and don't forget to subscribe.
Click.